What's up, Internet? You're tuning in episode 70 of the FlipScreen Games Podcast, a weekly video game podcast where two, sometimes three best buds from different nations come together to discuss the wide, wide world of video games. I'm your host, Pete and Bessie, joined as always by my very good friend and co-host, Mr. Steven Radford.
Hello, hello.
Hello, Steve. Got an interesting show this week.
Yeah, I was gonna say, and a Merry Christmas. It's coming close.
A Merry Christmas and a happy holiday to you as well, Steve, and to all of you.
We got one to go.
Yeah, it's coming up, and we only got one more week of content, and then we're taking our week off.
Which I don't think we've told anyone that we're taking a week off this year. Last year we didn't take a week off, and I know I definitely need a week.
Yeah, I need it. Last year we were like, we'll record extra episodes. But I'm like, dude, I'm fucking spent. I am spent, man. So I'm sorry, I cursed in the beginning of the show. We can't do that now. We're monetized.
Let's turn 30 in like with grace and decorum and you know, stay in bed late and
that sounds great.
Be lazy. You know, it's great. I'm really looking forward. I have no idea what if my partner's got anything planned for my 30th or what's happening or whatever.
I also have made like no plans. I'm like, I know I need to, and I'm like, dude, I don't know. And the annoying thing, I gotta go to work the next day, so it's like, what am I gonna do? Right? Like,
that's the week I've taken off this year. It's like there'll be 2 whole weeks I've taken off all year. One was a holiday, nice. And then the other's like that Christmas week. So I'm looking forward to
the whole like wedding and going on a vacation thing. Like I have like no time off left. So I'm like, all right.
Yeah, that kind of screwed you up, huh?
Yep. So I'm off for like a week and a half, and then I have to go in for 2 days, and then I'm off for another week and a half. Really stupid, but whatever. It's like a reverse weekend.
Is it like the kind of day where you could just sit around doing very little because no one else is doing any work?
That was what was supposed to happen, Steve, but I don't think it's going to happen anymore. I think I'm going to have to work those 2 days, and I'm very annoyed about it. I don't know. We'll see what happens. We'll see what we can do about that. But that's not what we're here to talk about. We're here to talk about Amazon, weirdly enough, Steve. We're going to kick the show off by talking about Amazon. How do you feel about that? You muted yourself. What are you doing? This is a podcast.
Sorry,
you gotta talk.
I'm sick today, so I'm gonna be in and out because I don't want. No one wants to hear me coughing, spluttering, and going like. Ugh. So I may be in and out. But you're talking about the first strike at an Amazon center in the UK, right? That's what we're
yes,
about
that's
here?
Of course what we're here to talk about.
Okay, good. I'm really glad.
Hey, unionize everybody. There's power in a union. We are union supporters here, so go get them. But no, interestingly enough, Amazon in the video game news twice this week with a couple big announcements. We're mostly talking about PlayStation today, but we're going to kick things off with this one. Amazon Games is set to publish the next Crystal Dynamics Tomb Raider game, which is interesting.
Very, very interesting.
So,
because obviously Embracer just bought the company behind like this, right? They bought all of these studios off of Square Enix.
Correct.
And I presume that included Crystal Dynamics, which it looks like it did. Why is Embracer not using one of their subsidiaries to publish it? Like,
it's a very interesting question.
Nordic.
So Crystal Dynamics studio head Scott Amos has said that following Embracer Group's acquisition of the studio, the team has, quote, an extraordinary opportunity to redefine what a publishing relationship is for Tomb Raider. And he said, transformative is what we're looking for. And with Amazon Games, we found a team that share our creative vision and values for a Lara Croft universe across the spectrum of possibilities. They're uniquely positioned to rewrite what publishing and development collaborations are, and we're eager to forge this new path together, starting with building the biggest and best Tomb Raider game yet.
It's very interesting, and I wonder if it means there's like a tie-in with an Amazon TV show or a movie.
I'm so glad
something.
You said that. That's exactly what I was gonna say. Because some of this language is weird, right? Like it's like redefine what a publishing relationship is for Tomb Raider. What does that mean, right? And they share our creative vision across the spectrum of possibilities. We're positioned to rewrite what publishing and development collaborations are and forge a new path together. Like
it's got to be.
Like
right?
What is unique about this if not having a multimedia deal where it's like we'll publish your next game and then we'll collaborate with you on a new Tomb Raider show for Amazon Prime, and then maybe we'll make you know what I mean? Like
Well, I
it.
mean, they've also got stuff like Twitch that they can
It's
utilize. So
true,
maybe you get like a special drop on Twitch, or there's like some reward there, or some incentive to
and
stream the game or
that could be
something.
unique, right? That could be a unique.
Yeah, very unique pad, and like no publishers really utilized that. They've obviously got the Amazon Luna. Maybe they like include this with like Prime Gaming. There's a lot of things they could do. Like maybe this is their play, right? It's like, oh, we're going to publish these games and they're going to become free as part of Amazon Prime Gaming, and it's another incentive for you to buy Amazon's ridiculously expensive subscription service that includes lots of things that you don't care about, but you may care about video games, and video games along with the like next day delivery is a real like a real good proposition for customers.
And I mean, they've been improving their offerings on TV quite a bit. Like they've had a couple hits in the last couple of years with stuff like The Boys and Invincible and
Man in the High Castle was a good as well. I enjoyed that.
yeah. That's an older
They've
one
had
now
quite a
even,
lot.
right? Like that was their first big
Yeah, it
hit.
is.
That was
Yeah.
like early to 2010s, I feel like. It's like they've got a track
Uh,
record of like making stuff that's quality. So, the idea of them like wanting to maybe roll, and I don't mean games, right? That's kind of been where they've struggled. But the idea of them wanting to partner with an established developer with an established IP and have, some kind of play there where, part of your Prime subscription is now getting you in their gaming ecosystem. And all you got to do is get the subscription for this, and then you can start playing Tomb Raider. Like I don't know. It's interesting because to your point, why? Like why is Embracer Group doing this partnership when we know that they have internal publishers and we know that they could self-publish? It must be there must be some game to it, right? Like there must be some strategy behind why they're doing this. And I would imagine it's because they want to make a multimedia play and they know that Tomb Raider is an IP that has the potential to, be adapted to film or television or whatever, right? It's happened before and it'll happen again. And Amazon, probably a unique partner where they can not only publish a AAA video game, they can also develop a television show, right? Or a movie.
Yeah, it's really strange though because obviously Embracer went on this spending spree, buying a lot of places, and then they rebranded Square Enix Montreal as Onoma, and then they like 2 weeks later shut it
Shut them
down and
down.
said we're not going to make any mobile games anymore, which is strange because then you've got Microsoft saying mobile's where everyone needs to be, and if you're not in mobile, then you're not really going to be having a viable video game business. And you've got Embracer saying the absolute opposite,
I think that's
which is strange.
bullshit. I
Well,
got
I
to be
mean, of
honest with
course it
you.
could be. It could be to get their deal through. That's why they're saying that
Yeah.
stuff, and it could just be entirely exaggeration
I mean, it also
on how valuable it is.
he could believe that, and like, what do I know, right? Phil Spencer knows a lot
And
more about
and
running a video game
Embracer
company
also
than me, but
has Embracer has different aspects of his business as well, right? They do board games, they do comics, they own
yeah, they
the
bought
rights
Dark
to
Horse.
Lord of the Rings. They own Lord of the Rings at this point. It's kind of crazy. So I mean, that's another thing that could be potentially the deal with Amazon, right? It's like, okay, well, we're going to give you a bunch of IP as part of a package deal. So you get Lord of the Rings because they're doing the Lord of the Rings TV show. And as part of that, they also get Tomb Raider, and they can develop a Tomb Raider TV show. But they have to give up a bunch of cash and stump up the money to publish Tomb Raider itself, the video game. So Embracer's not taking such a big hit on it. So I could see something like that potentially being the reason behind it as well. But in any case, I'm excited because I love those Tomb Raider games. Those Tomb Raider reboots were really good. I'm excited that it's the same team behind it, that they get to continue their work and their legacy that they worked on with the franchise. It'll be this Tomb Raider's been passed around quite a lot. It was with well, I think it's been with Crystal Dynamics for a good while now.
Yeah, I
I'd
mean,
like
their
to see
first game
Crystal.
was in 2012. I feel like was the
Yeah, I
reboot,
think it
right?
was Tomb
Like
Raider Anniversary. I think was the one that they did.
that was when they took
Um,
over.
Yeah, prior to that was IDOS, and we had Core that worked on it. It's been around the houses, but it's a valuable IP and a beloved franchise by a lot of people. I know I grew up playing it. I love Lara Croft. As much as I hated the movies, I would like to see a really good movie, a really good TV show adaptation of it. I don't think we've seen that yet, and I really think it's ripe for the picking. In the same way that Uncharted could have been, but
But
they
they fucked it
retold
up.
the same story, and it should have been, like, different story and not just the same one. I feel like you could do that with Tomb Raider, right? Because she can go off and she can do any kind of adventure, but it's the character and it's the people
Yeah.
in it and the vibe and the feel of it as to how you tell that story that's really important.
Can I ask you, do you think any part of your attachment to Laura as a character is because she's English? Do you like that about her, or does that not factor in?
I mean, I mean, maybe. I also think it was just the type of game, right? There wasn't really anything else like that at the time. I mean, we had it on PS1. We also had it on PC. It was the game my dad told me it was the reason he bought a PS1 because he bought it for the PC and it wouldn't run properly on his like Windows 95 machine.
That's funny.
So he was like, "So this, I'm just gonna buy a PlayStation," and he bought the PlayStation, and then I've played every Tomb Raider since. I love those games; they're really good. Maybe her being English has something to do with it, but I think really it's one of those games that was introduced to me by my dad, and I've played it ever since. I don't think it has anything. I mean, maybe it had something to do with that for him, but I think it was just because it was a critically acclaimed game
It's good.
on the
Yeah,
PlayStation. Yeah, it's just
that
a
makes
good
sense. I
game.
just wondered if that was ever a thing that y'all were like, yeah, cool, like Laura, British icon.
Yeah, British icon lives in a mansion and on her own with a butler. Yeah, she's one of the people.
One of
Yeah.
you guys, you love the Queen. What's the difference?
We loved the Queen.
Yeah,
R.I.P.
true. R.I.P. Uh, so yeah, it's an interesting one. I'm excited to see what comes of this. It is interesting too because they've confirmed it's going to be multi-platform. It's going to be built on Unreal Engine 5, single player narrative driven, the most expansive Tomb Raider to date. That all sounds great, right? Like that all.
You think this is one of those like announcements for hiring?
Yeah, right. I think that's like all these announcements nowadays. Like when they come out this early and it's like we have nothing to announce or show you at all. It's because they're like, okay, we want people to come work on this thing.
Yeah, yeah. Which makes sense, especially with layoffs and studios closing. I would hope that they gave the opportunity from some of the Studio Anoma people to come over and work on this if they had the expertise, especially if they worked on like Tomb Raider Go or Lara Croft Go. Those games were great.
People
They've
love
obviously
those.
got some history with the franchise. It'd be really cool to see them come over and use their knowledge of making those puzzles, bring it into the mainline games, and help design and craft
Yeah.
the next generation of Tomb Raider games. Because I presume this would be a trilogy like the last one. It's like the start of the next story, the next chapter in Lara's life.
Yeah, I think you're probably right. That seems to make the most sense. Exciting to finally like see some big names, right? Be like, oh, this is gonna be an Unreal Engine 5 game. It's like, oof, that's exciting, right? Like we've not really had a full open world experience built in on UE5 yet.
No, well, the only game really that's utilizing Unreal Engine 5 and all of its technologies to any kind of level is Fortnite, and it's really impressive, the latest Fortnite update. I don't know if you've tried it out with
No.
Nanite and Lumen and how good it can look at 60 FPS. You have to turn off the 120 FPS mode. If you're interested in just checking it out and having a look and see the differences, Digital Foundry did a great breakdown and video this week on how it works and why it does it the way it does. So I'd recommend checking that out. But it's a real good glimpse into what's potentially possible with Unreal Engine 5, and I'd like to see more of it. However, I am saddened at the fact that we're just losing engines left, right, and center, and it feels like we're losing some of the diversity around it. Everyone's betting their house on the success of Unreal Engine 5, right? We had the Red Engine from the powered Cyberpunk and The Witcher that's gone. Like tons of engines are just going by the wayside. The in-house engines are being thrown out to adopt Unreal Engine 5, and I think it's because the level of investment that you need to put into building technology that can compare and match with what Epic have done is just it's astronomical.
I mean, not only that though, too, right? Like, there's also in Jason's what's the first book? Blood, Sweat, and Pixels. In Blood, Sweat, and Pixels, they talked all about like how a lot of studios have kind of made that as a mistake too, right? Like EA had that whole initiative where they're like, everyone's going to move over to Frostbite. We're going to have our proprietary engine and we're going to build it out and, and whatever. And it wasn't made
That wasn't great because it was designed for
for
specific
first
types
person
of
shooting,
games, right?
right?
And they tried angling everything in. One studio I think that has succeeded really well with keeping their own engines is Ubisoft. I think they've got 3 engines in-house that they use. So you've got Snowdrop, which powers things like The Division, and I think it powers the Ghost Recon games. You've got Decima, which powers the Far Cry games, and you've got another engine which powers like Rainbow Six and their esports games.
Wait, Decima's the Far Cry engine? I thought that was the name of Gorilla's
Decima.
engine.
Oh,
I think
Dunya,
okay,
sorry.
I was gonna say yeah, Decima's the Horizon,
Decima's the Horizon engine,
and then
yeah.
also Death Stranding.
Yeah, which is yeah, very strange that's still very strange to me that that's using
It's a great engine,
MetaHuman.
you know.
No, but like Anvil's the other one that they use, by the way, which is used for Assassin's Creed, I think. Um, there's a lot. Yeah, it's used by Assassin's Creed, Immortals, Riders Republic, Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six, and the new upcoming Prince of Persia. So they're still using that. The fact that they've got 3 engines that they use and they just pick the one that makes most sense, and they probably also utilize stuff like Unreal Engine. It's about picking the right tool for the job, and I don't know that Unreal Engine 5 is the right tool for every single job, and I'd like to think
Yeah,
that
I hear
we
you.
we don't go down that route.
I think the reason you see it though is, and that was one of the things that Jason called out in the Dragon Age Inquisition chapter, right? Is that like Unreal Engine is used for a wider variety of games, and it's used by so many people that like there's tools for it that get developed, right? Where if someone's like, oh, I'm gonna make X game in this engine, well then everybody can use those tools eventually, right? And like you have this huge library of knowledge about like bug fixes and all those things because everybody uses this engine, right? So it just makes it, it's like, and I hear what you're saying, right? Where like I think more diversity of engine is better. But I feel like it's probably akin to like why things like Adobe becomes an industry standard, right? It's like, well, if everybody uses Photoshop, then it's easier to use Photoshop because
Yeah,
I
and then
can look
look
up
what
solutions
happened
when I
with
have a
that, right?
problem.
They became complacent and
Yeah.
they ended up then buying their competitor, their biggest competitor. It's like
Yep.
that shit shouldn't happen. I don't want that to happen, and I could see
Monopolies are
that
bad.
happening.
Although I don't necessarily think that would be a one-to-one with Epic. Like I don't think that they would stop investing in Unreal because like they also benefit from the technology because
No,
they
they
make
wouldn't,
games,
but then they
right?
can then say, right, we're changing the revenue share and we're gonna
Yes.
take X percentage now. And it's like, oh, okay, well, we'll look at other choices. And all the other choices are gone.
There aren't any.
And Unreal Engine 5 is the only one. And the next thing you know, Epic is taking 50% of the revenue of your game, and there's nothing you can do about it.
I don't know. I also feel like there's the argument to be made if that happens, we'll get to a point people will just start making engines again. It's
Yeah,
not. It's
most
cost
likely, yeah.
prohibitive to use Unreal now. Okay, cool.
You're right. I worry about it, and
That's a
I don't
reasonable
want to
concern.
see us. I don't want us to see the loss of all of these engines that have been made. I feel like there's so much good stuff being made out there, and we risk losing a lot of that just to Unreal Engine.
Yeah.
But the level of game that you can make with Unreal Engine, you can really see the difference between something like a Fortnite, very stylistic, and that Matrix demo, very realistic. And those kind of things, it gives me hope that yeah, there is opportunity to build whatever kind of game that the artist envisions.
Yeah, it's certainly. I think there's a reason people gravitate towards Unreal, and I think it is because it is one of the better engines. But that's not a good reason to make it the only game in town. Definitely agree. Let's keep the Amazon conversation rolling because God of War is getting a TV series over on Amazon Prime. Wheel of Time showrunner Rafe Judkins, which holy moly, what a great name, Rafe Judkins. That's a sick name.
That sounds like a British guy. Let me have a look.
That sounds like a
No, American.
action hero to me for some reason. Rafe
He,
Judkins.
okay, he was. Do you know his claim to fame?
Wheel of Time.
Obviously, Wheel of Time.
Yeah.
He was also a contestant on the 11th season of Survivor, which took place in
What?
Guatemala.
What? That's awesome. Okay. And then Rafe is going to be teaming up with the Expanse creators, Mark Fergus and Hawk Ostby. Again, what the heck? That's such a cool name, Hawk Ostby. That sounds like a superhero. Like, I love it. I love it so much. That also sounds very British to me. Ostby. Either way.
They have a Wikipedia article that they work together, right? The article is Mark Ferguson and Hawk Ostby, so they're
They're like a team.
They come hand in hand. They worked on Children of Men and Iron Man.
They worked on Iron Man?
Yeah, apparently.
Would they do the script?
Yep.
Cool. All right. That's a great team. These are award winners. These are Oscar award winners, right? So the series has been in development since March, and it's going to follow Kratos and Atreus through the 2018 to Ragnarok, the Norse storyline. Unsurprisingly, I would think. Of course, this is now the fourth major IP adaptation from PlayStation, right? We have The Last of Us at HBO. Obviously, that's right around the corner. Twisted Metal being made at Peacock with Anthony Mackie.
I did not know that one.
Yeah.
Are the cars going to talk?
You may know as the actor who plays the Falcon in the Marvel Cinematic and I guess Captain America now. So yeah, he's going to be heading that, and then they've got the Horizon show at Netflix.
Will Arnett is in Twisted Metal.
What? Yo, what?
The voice of Sweet Tooth.
He's Sweet Tooth? Oh my god! That's incredible. Okay. Sure. I can see Will Arnett as Sweet Tooth. Probably not my first choice, but yeah.
That's the clown guy, right?
Yeah, he's the clown.
Yeah,
He has flaming hair. Yeah.
Oh my god. Yeah, I could see that voice on him.
Yeah. The more I think about it, the more I'm like, actually, that sounds kind of brilliant. I'm into that. Okay. So I think the question on a lot of people's lips I saw after this is, who do you get to play Kratos, right? And
I mean, Christopher Judge is for me, it's like,
I think
he's
you
a
just
TV actor anyway.
You hire Christopher Judge and Sonny. Just hire the actual actors who played those two characters. Like,
but, I mean, you know they won't.
No, but they should. The kid who plays Atreus, Sonny, he looks like Atreus is his face. Like,
yeah,
they're both actors. Like,
Christopher Judge is a great actor. He's a TV actor first, and this was his first video game. For me, it makes sense to get him to come and do this, but I know they won't because they didn't with The Last of Us, right?
Yeah, I see that as being different because the actress who plays Ellie is an adult woman, right? Like, and they want to start early in the story when she's a little girl and everything. And
yeah, and
teenager, not little, but
and Joel looks nothing like Joel.
Yeah, right. Troy Baker doesn't look like Joel at all, right? Whereas, like, you know, I guess Kratos has his own face, right? But like, put the makeup on Christopher Judge, he'll look like Kratos, right? Like, he's a big, you know, like built guy. Like, if he bulked up a little bit, not that he needs to a lot, he's already a pretty built dude. But yeah, he could be. I think he could easily do it, you know.
I think if you give, say, if you give Jason Momoa a haircut, he could probably do it as well.
Maybe, yeah, yeah, he could probably do it. My mind immediately went to some of his more modern roles where he's like been very goofy, but like, how easily we forget his first role was Khal Drogo in, you know, Game of Thrones, and that was the strong, silent type.
I mean, his first role was in Baywatch. Apparently, it's
Fair enough.
Jason Ione. I
But
remember him from Stargate as well, so we could, get
little
another
Stargate
Stargate
reunion.
person in. Yeah, he's from Atlantis. I could see him. I could see him coming over.
Yeah, I'm down. I'm down, I guess. But yeah,
I'm a real fucking nerd for that show. I'm sorry.
Hey, no shade, no shame. I really do just want it to be Christopher Judge, though. Like, they won't, but
Yeah, I don't see it.
I feel like this
see
is
them
one of the
doing it.
few opportunities we have to do an adaptation of a video game and actually have the same actors. Like, they would both be great.
Yeah, it's not gonna happen. It's not gonna happen.
I know.
And I don't know who they're gonna get.
I think if it's not the originals, go with unknowns. I don't need some like movie star to play Kratos.
I think with stuff like this, Amazon always want a name to draw you in, and so you probably will end up with a name playing Kratos.
But like who?
That's what I don't know. I really have no idea.
I don't know.
I don't know, Zac Efron, he's like a fucking hench guy these days. Could see him. We've seen him since he's like bulked up. I bet they get someone like that.
That would be awful. I had nothing against Zac Efron, but like he's not Kratos. That's not. We need.
Yeah, but he could be right. We gotta give these people the
it has
benefit of
to
the
be
doubt
somebody with
because
a powerful, booming voice. Like it can't be some.
he could put that on.
He can. He can. I'm convinced he can't do that.
Overdub him.
He's too soft. He's like a teddy bear, man. He could be. He could be Nathan Drake. He can't be Kratos. You know, like they're just so like we need a strong, thoughtful, like somebody with that timbre. Like I feel like that the voice is such a big part. Like that boy, like we need that. I don't think Zac Efron's got it in him, Steve.
No, you're probably right. I don't know. I don't know who though. I really don't.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it'd be a mistake. I think hire Christopher Judge. Let's do it. Let's do this right, everybody. So, I guess the question that I did want to pose here too, we can go through it quickly. What other, and I guess it doesn't have to be PlayStation, but like, how many cards they got left to play here, right? Because it's like I know they've talked about developing a Ghost of Tsushima series as well.
Yeah,
I think that's a slam dunk, right?
I feel like some FromSoft stuff would be great as TV shows.
Oh, Death Stranding's getting a movie too, huh? They just announced that.
Yeah, that's not PlayStation though, is it? It's Kojima's doing that himself. It's not a PlayStation Productions. I don't know what else PlayStation's got that they could do. Maybe you see like a Gran Turismo movie. If they're doing Twisted Metal, then nothing's out of the question.
Right. It would kind of be cool to see them like revive an old IP, like make like an Ape Escape movie or something. Like that'd be cute.
Yeah, but that's gonna make everyone pissed off that they shut down Japan's studio and we're never gonna get another Ape Escape.
Or they make a new one.
I could see an Astros.
Astrobot could have a movie.
Yeah, Astrobot could have a movie, like a fully animated, like Mario movie style, and then that ties into a new game, because he's kind of become a mascot for them.
Yeah, I definitely think that's a good one. I'm trying to take a look and see who else is like even an option. They did a Ratchet and Clank movie years ago. I doubt they'll try to do that again.
They possibly could. I'm sure they'll do a Spider-Man movie for the millionth time, but that's not really the same.
Yeah, that's a totally different thing. That's a comic book movie.
Yeah, I think probably Gran Turismo is the only thing I could see them doing something with, and
That's the
you could
only
follow it.
one? What?
That's the only one I think they've got left that they have not touched, really. But I could see them using that because obviously you mentioned that they're going to do Ghost. Maybe they do something now that they own Bungie. I could see like a Destiny movie.
You could do Days Gone.
Um, yeah, but the reviewers would be too woke. They won't enjoy it.
That's true.
Um,
Yeah. I'm kind of surprised Sackboy never got a shot.
like, is Knack gonna get a movie? No, it's
No,
not.
no.
Killzone, maybe. Maybe you bring that back.
Are they doing another Uncharted? Do we know?
Apparently, there was. Well, I mean, there's a rumor that there's an Uncharted reboot for the video games, so I presume there will be another Uncharted movie.
Hmm.
Yeah, I don't know what else they've got. It's like,
Oh,
yeah,
they're
we've not
making
had a
another
new
one
Ape
of these. This
Escape
is the
since
it's
PS2.
well, maybe not. It's only the 5th highest grossing video game movie of all time. It was
Depends
profitable.
how much they needed to make.
It was profitable. I don't know.
But what was it profitable enough? That's always the question, right?
Hmm.
And I've
Oh, never
never
mind. They're
understood
making
that
another one.
concept.
They're making another one. Tom Rothman, the chairman of Sony Pictures, said that it is a new franchise for Sony. So we'll get a couple more of those.
Yeah, I mean, on the other side of the fence, Xbox has got basically everything other than Halo that they can tap into that they've not touched. Like we've had a Halo TV series with Paramount Plus, but I don't think we've really had anything else
Yeah,
from
all
them.
those other storied Xbox IPs, right?
I could see Gears of War getting something.
They've
Pretty
been talking
decent.
about making a Gears of War movie for like a million years.
Yeah, do a TV show instead. Like sod the movie. Do a good TV show, not with Paramount, with like Netflix.
I don't know. I don't think it's an IP that works that way, honestly. And I think that's the risk with all these as TV shows is like, does Amazon have the budget to make a God of War?
Netflix is making a Gears of War TV show. It's going to be an animated flick.
That's a better idea. Because I think that's a problem with all these. Like, is Netflix going to be able to, like, realistically create the world of Horizon on a shoestring budget? Like, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, is it going to be a shoestring budget? It depends how much Sony's willing to pump into it, I guess.
Yeah. You can only spend so much on
it,
though.
Gears of War's coming.
You know? Like, it's got to be profitable.
It's getting a movie and a TV series at Netflix.
Which is? Gears?
Gears, yeah.
Interesting. I mean, Netflix has had a lot of success adapting video games.
Especially with the anime, right?
Yeah, the animated stuff's been kind of the winner, it feels like.
Yeah. Don't necessarily think the movie's going to be hot because we spoke about that on another episode about how I don't feel like they've really had many good movies.
Not quite. That reminds me, I gotta watch that Dragon Age show that just dropped like last week. I haven't gotten a chance to watch it yet. It's gotten me at least a half point though in our predictions. I'll tell you that, Steve.
I don't know about that.
Oh no, it did. It did. So we got. We'll talk about that next week on our last episode of the year. But we got a lot more PlayStation talk to get into here. So let me just remind you that this week's episode of the FlipScreen Games podcast is brought to you by our Patreon producers for the month of December. They are, of course, Christian Oliveria, Christopher Valenz, Gabriel Hassmeyer, a.k.a. Sobi, Mary Berry, Wakahula, and Zaid Ida. Thank you all so much for your support over on patreon.com/FlipScreenGames. Y'all are the realest of the real, and we greatly appreciate your support of this and all of our sister shows. If you want to become a Patreon supporter, if you want to join our Discord, if you want to write into the show, if you want to do anything else under the FlipScreen Games banner, head over to flipscreen.games. That's our website where you will find links to all the places we are all over the web. Steve, our next story is one just tailor-made for you. This is a very Steve-centric episode. We're talking about Tomb Raider. We're talking about, of course, Toy Story 2 on the PlayStation 1, the seminal classic, one of Steve's favorite games of all time.
The best game of all time, if you ask me.
Toy Story 2 Buzz Lightyear to the Rescue is the most played PlayStation Plus PS1 game of 2022. And It is the third most played classic game overall, only behind Mafia Definitive Edition and God of War 3 Remastered.
How insane is that?
It's mental. Like, is it just nostalgia factor? Did everybody have this game? Like, gotta boot this up again. Gotta boot this up again. How is God of War 3 the only, like, and Mafia, but like whatever. What? It's so crazy.
Well, I think everyone knows Toy Story, so it draws you in there, right?
True.
So even if you didn't play the game, you know it. 2, it's just a really good game. 3, the PS1 games they've got on offer suck. The retro stuff in general on PlayStation Plus sucks. It's like, I don't understand how it's been so long since they really released any more games on that platform. It's kind of a lackluster offering, and I wouldn't really recommend it to anyone. But yeah, if you've not played this game, I wanted to touch on it. Eurogamer did a great article. Victoria Kennedy over there was just like, I had to try it out and see what all the buzz was about. And it's a great game, a really good game. Great puzzles, great levels that remind you of the movie. I really think it's one of the best licensed games of all time, if not the best licensed game of all time.
The best
And
licensed
I love
game
it.
of all time. You're gonna just throw that out there.
Well, what would you say that beats this? What licensed game have you played that's better?
Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order.
No.
Yeah.
This game's better.
No. Like 10 Star Wars
Maybe
games.
up until that. This held the crown for a very long time. Licensed games were fucking shit.
They used
for a
to be
very,
great,
very
though.
long time.
There was a whole era of good licensed games, especially back on like the Super Nintendo and stuff like that.
Does this count as a licensed game anyway? It was made by Disney Interactive. Sort of their own thing anyway.
I would say it's still a licensed game. When I think licensed game, I think it's any property that isn't a video game becoming a video game, right? Simpsons Hit and Run. You don't think it's better than this?
Maybe the Simpsons Hit and Run is in the same level and conversation. I really think this is better.
We gotta make a tier list, Steve. We gotta make a tier list.
You've never played this game, and you have to try it.
I played this game.
It's really good.
I beat it.
It's really good, though, isn't it?
Yeah,
You've beat this game?
I beat
Have you got all the Pizza Planet tokens on it?
No, I didn't 100% it, but I beat it.
Okay.
My one of my best friends growing up who lived across the street from me had this game, and he was a couple of years younger than me. I don't quite remember the age difference between us. So I was always like a little bit better than him at video games. So like I remember he got stuck on like I think it's the second or third level where you're in Sid's
backyard. Second level is at the backyard. This the neighborhood.
Yes, and he got stuck there. And I remember he asked me to. It's like we played it together, and I beat it, and he was like, "Yes,
really, that's so easy." That one, like, there's the
Well, he was young.
Army figures coming out of the ground. And you have to stomp on them to collect them all.
Yeah,
you get a Pizza Planet token for that. There's the race with RC, which you actually cannot finish. You have to come back because you need the rocket boots in order to do, and you get the rocket boots on a later level. You climb up to the top of the tree. You defeat the boss. You'll get a token for that. There's all sorts of stuff in there. The ducks around by the pool. That's always a good one.
I don't remember the ducks.
Yeah, it's great. I love that game.
I played this game. I played this game a not insignificant amount. You know, like I rolled credits on it.
Yeah, I'm gonna play this game. I love it.
You should do a stream of the whole thing.
I'll do a stream of Toy Story this week.
The whole thing.
I'll play some Toy Story.
Maybe you save it. Maybe you save it for your birthday next year, and we do a. I think I really want to do one day a 48-hour stream where we stream my birthday into your birthday.
Yeah, not this year though. We are both so run down that I think we would pass out.
Yeah, not this year. Maybe next year. Yeah, or maybe not.
We don't even need to do a 48-hour stream with the time difference. We could start on
we did 24
and then roll straight into mine.
Like 12,
It'd be like 5-hour stream. We're celebrating both.
No, it's gotta be a big event though. We gotta go for a long time. We start at like 6 p.m. We can start late my time if you want. I don't care. Whatever. I'll stay up late. Is the point. We go all night. I think it'd be great. What we could do is we both pick an old game that's a favorite and we play through it in its entirety on stream. I would love to do. I did this once, and I recorded the whole thing, and the footage got corrupted. And it was devastating to me. I did a complete playthrough of the PS1 Spider-Man game by Neversoft. Absolute classic. Absolute classic. And I would love to do that again and have it recorded.
We'll do it. We'll do it.
All right, let's do it.
I'm playing this one though. You're not having the sticks for Toy Story.
No. You play that, and I'll run chat, and then you do that when I play Spider-Man.
Done. Sounds good. I'm in.
I think that'll work too, right? Because then I'll be exhausted from having just played Spider-Man, and I'll watch you play Toy Story, and you'll be fresh. You know. All right. Speaking of Spider-Man, Marvel's Spider-Man 2 seems to, at least the plan right now is that it's officially coming in fall 2023. So there was an update over on the PlayStation blog where they had their highlights for next year and kind of talking about the things that we can look forward to as PlayStation fans. And they talked a bit about Marvel's Spider-Man 2, which, of course, I'm very excited about. And this is what they had to say. Speaking of Marvel's Spider-Man 2, let's kick things off with some exciting news from developer Insomniac Games confirming the release window for the web-slinging sequel. Marvel's Spider-Man 2 launches on PS5 in fall 2023. Following the events of Marvel's Spider-Man and Marvel's Spider-Man Miles Morales, the Spider duo of Peter Parker and Miles Morales are back in the next blockbuster action chapter of the Marvel Spider-Man series. Much is yet to be revealed about the game, and going off the quality of the past two titles, we're bound to be in for a fantastic new original Spider-Man adventure. Read on for a special message from Insomniac. And this comes from Brian.
I love how they
Intihar.
say that about their own game.
Yeah.
Based on the quality of the past two titles. It's
incredible.
Like, okay, cool.
Well, the person writing this didn't make it. It's just the guy who writes the PlayStation blog. He doesn't know. So this is Brian Intihar. He's the creative director over at Insomniac. And he said, what a year it's been for PlayStation Studios. Here at Insomniac Games, we've been in absolute awe of the work of our peers. Congrats to everyone on a successful 2022. And here's to next year being just as exciting as we continue to get Marvel Spider-Man 2 ready for release next fall. So
Interesting.
Of course, am through the roof excited by this news. I love Marvel Spider-Man. Loved Miles Morales. I just replayed Marvel Spider-Man this year in its entirety and platinumed it again on the PlayStation 5 because that's how much I like that game. So I'm really excited about this. I am very excited in the direction that this game is going. We know that it's going to feature Venom. There's going to be like a symbiote story, right? Like being able to play as both Peter and Miles in one game. Very exciting. I think it's going to have a lot to offer, and I think. I've gone on record. I'd play one of these games. They put out if Insomniac put out a Marvel Spider-Man every year, I'd play it, and I would love it. So
Yeah, of course you would.
they're great. They're great games, and I love Spider-Man. So
I enjoyed what I played of it. I never haven't finished it.
you got to pick it up on Steam Deck now. I think you'd finish it if you played it there.
Yeah, I was streaming some of it with Chiaki to my Steam Deck. That worked out well enough, but I wanted to focus more on the games that released this year, which is kind of what I've been focusing on especially as we approach Game of the Year season.
You got to do me a solid and play these games before Spider-Man 2 comes out so we can talk about it.
Yeah, I'll commit to doing that. Yeah. Because there's not a lot else on this list that I'm excited about from PlayStation. I'll tell you that. Like this blog post is like Spider-Man's the headline. Not very excited about Forspoken after the demo.
I've heard some people say the demo's fun. I've heard other people say it's not.
Don't care about the new controller.
No.
Definitely don't care about the Harry Potter game.
Such a shame.
PlayStation VR 2, I'm not going to pick up because it's a big expense and they haven't convinced me on titles that they've got yet. I don't play Destiny. I'm going to play Resident Evil 4 on Xbox and Final Fantasy 16. I've not played a Final Fantasy. I don't really care.
I'm through the roof excited for that one too. That game looks incredible.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. There's those two games alone.
It's also only like the beginning of the year, right? Like
It says Q2/3. I don't know if they'll hit that
That's the
anyway. I would
latest thing on the
imagine.
pipeline, though, right? Like the
Yeah.
only other thing, like everything else has a date, and the earliest or the latest one is Resident Evil 4 in March. So this only represents really their plans for like Q1, and then okay, in the fall, Spider-Man will happen.
Yeah.
So could be
Yeah, I
more
mean, I don't
announcements
know
to
if
come.
quite possibly. I think if they had more first party stuff, they probably would have spoken about it. I think VR2 is going to take up a lot of their time next year.
Yeah,
You got Horizon Call of the Mountain. There's going to be some other titles
Horizon
from first
DLC is
party
coming out.
studios. Horizon DLC. So I don't know that we're going to get any other big game next year other than Marvel Spider-Man 2. But that's enough, to be honest. That's a
No,
huge
yeah,
title for them. And if you're a fan of the first two games, you're obviously going to be excited about that one. And it's the first Marvel Spider-Man that's only on PS5. So
yeah,
hopefully there's a real
very
step
cool.
up in terms of fidelity or performance and things they can do in the world that there wasn't possible on last gen hardware.
I mean, that game already looks incredible. So
Yeah.
really excited, really excited to see what they can do. All right, so let's keep the PlayStation conversation rolling. Horizon's multiplayer game has been confirmed by Guerrilla. So we knew that this game was in development, right? There was um, was it a leak or was it from the investor presentation?
It was from the investor presentation
Okay,
that they
yeah, where
said
we
that they were
knew,
utilizing IP as part of their like games of a service center for
yeah,
excellence.
and we knew that there was multiple Horizon projects in development. We talked all about that a couple episodes back, and there being like a Horizon multiplayer game that was somewhat akin to like a Monster Hunter type experience was one of the things that was getting tossed around. Now we have confirmation that game does exist, and excuse me, and we got some details about it. So Guerrilla has confirmed that the game is multiplayer, set in the Horizon universe, and that it'll feature a new cast of characters and a new art style as well, which I thought was interesting.
It's gonna look like Genshin Impact.
That honestly makes sense. Like something stylized like that. Yeah, so that it's
Yeah,
like cheaper to produce and
easier to render. You
yeah.
can, and I don't think this will release just on PlayStation. I think there'll be a PC and mobile play alongside, especially if it's a service game.
I think you're right. Oh, that's actually a good. We didn't talk about that. What do you think? What do you think the timeline is for Spider-Man on PC?
6 months, I think.
You're crazy.
Um,
You're crazy that you still think that's gonna happen. Six
yeah, I
months?
mean, what are we down? What are we down to for The Last of Us Part One? That's six
That
months,
doesn't
right?
count.
I think it does.
I,
They kept telling us that was a new title,
it
brand new
literally
game.
counts. You're right. It literally counts. I think it's different though. I'm probably wrong. You've been more right than not with the PC stuff. So I'll happily eat crow if this game does come out in 6 months. But I feel like a re-release of a game from 2009 coming out 6 months is different than a brand new title that you want
What
to
else have they
use to
got?
sell PS5s.
What else have they got coming to PC next year?
Old games. Port more old
That's
stuff.
the thing. Like maybe that's the play, but I think
Right? We know
we've got
Returnal and
We've got
Last of
both
Us are both coming to
Spider-Man
PC.
games.
That's two major releases on PC.
Yeah. Yeah, I we'll see. We'll see. I do think six
Miles
months
just
is
came out.
I could see it being, we say it early 2024,
You
like
might be
March
right. I don't
2024.
know. I don't see it. I still think that feels so bullish. We've not seen like it's been 6 months since Horizon came out. There's not a whisper of that coming to PC.
I think that's because the DLC hasn't been finished, and they'll want to bundle those two together and
Okay,
have
but
like a complete package, like they did with
so same thing with
Forbidden
Spider-Man.
West.
Then they're gonna do
Forbidden
DLC. They
West
did.
with
They
Zero
did the
Dawn.
whole city that never sleeps. It's like a whole other game's worth of DLC. You don't think they'll want to work on that before they put it on PC?
Is that not already there? I thought that was included on the PC version.
It
It was
is,
the
but I mean for
definitive
Spider-Man
edition
2.
that you got. Yeah, maybe you're right. Maybe it's 12 months, but I do think that like we're definitely going to see it, right? Like they bought
Yeah,
Nixies for
yeah.
a reason.
No, it'll 100% come to PC. I just don't think it'll be within 6 months.
Yeah, I
I
guess
think it's gonna be
we'll see.
closer to
I also
18.
think it depends. It depends how it performs, whether the market is affecting PS5 sales, and whether they need something to release on PC to bulk out their financial year. Like, there's a lot of things that contribute to it.
Sure.
They've got nothing else that comes to PC, and Nixies have already proven they could pump these out like off the production line super fast. I don't know how they managed to. Then I think there's probably no issue with bringing it to PC. The only thing is it potentially pisses off PS5 owners, but
I
I
think it's
do
even
wonder
less
what the
that. I think it kneecaps the ability for it to be a driver of sales of PS5s. But then again, right? Nobody can even like everybody wants a PS5 and you can't get one. So do you need to? I don't know. Maybe you're right. Maybe you're right. I don't know. I don't see it though. Like we still haven't gotten Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart, right? Like I think that would come to PC before Spider-Man. I think God of War, by the time that comes out, God of War will be like a year plus old, right? Like, wouldn't it be more likely to see that come? Like,
Yeah, God of War's gonna come. And obviously people are very excited about that. You could be right about Rift Apart, but I also kind of feel that they bigged up that game so much about it being the power of the PS5. To play this on the PS5. There's a lot of technical hurdles to overcome with that because you need to make sure the system has fast enough storage to be able to get through the rifts and
yeah,
load the levels quick enough. There's a lot of things that they will need to overcome with that, but I'm sure Nix's is already working on it.
yeah, I think you're probably right. But anyway, on the Horizon side of things, yeah, you're definitely right, right? Like, I don't know if it'll launch multi-platform, but it'll definitely be, I would say, a shorter time between the PlayStation and PC versions for the multiplayer.
Oh, I think they'll want to launch this one multi-plat, and they've already said that they plan on doing that with service games. I think.
Yeah,
If even if it's not PC, I could see them wanting to have a mobile version of this game, so that you can carry on playing on the go.
that's interesting. I could see that. I didn't really think about that, but it could be.
Because that's where majority of people play Genshin, right?
Yeah.
And you wanna utilize that and tap into that. Do the same thing, especially if you're building out a service game in a similar style.
So, based on a job advertisement post that they made on Twitter, we know that it's going to be a new internal team who's developing a separate online project set in Horizon's universe, is how they put it. So this is a new team within Gorilla who'll be developing and then theoretically supporting this game. Um, so and then they also again right they said it would have a quote unquote unique stylized look. So it definitely seems like it's going to be something more akin to,
What if it's Chibi Aloy? I couldn't go for that style. It'd drive
that.
me
I
crazy.
wouldn't love.
They all look like Funko Pops, like that Gears of War game.
Yeah, that would not be great. I wouldn't love that.
I don't
Um,
plan on playing this anyway, I don't think. I would imagine that maybe like when I envisaged it, right, and they were talking about potentially building a multiplayer online game, it was Monster Hunter World. Like we keep the realistic side of things and we just open it up and you're doing these grindy missions and you're playing it like a Monster Hunter World style game and you're teaming up with people and you're building your own character. Seems like that's not what they're doing, right? And they want to build a game in the Horizon universe where it seems like you're not going to be playing Aloy, and it's stylized. It's a little bit different,
they
so that's what
said
makes me think it's maybe more like a Genshin style game.
they said that the goal is to quote unquote tell a deep, complex story. Um, and they said that the game writer that they're looking to hire is going to be asked to pitch compelling ideas for quests, factions, and backstories. So it's interesting. I'm imagining it's gonna be. I mean, it's funny because like this was one of the core ideas in the original design of Horizon. Like they thought about making it a multiplayer thing and having it be more about like you guys going out and teaming up and doing the machine hunt. So I'm wondering if it'll be kind of like similar to Last of Us Factions in the way that they've described that, where it is like uh you do multiplayer missions that then advance like a broader story, right? And like flesh out the world and you know.
Possibly. I mean, like, yeah. Well, I guess we'll find out. It seems like this is a way off by the sounds of it. If they're just hiring game writers now, I
Definitely.
imagine
Yeah.
probably a way down the road, probably 2024, 2025
Yeah, I
onwards.
wouldn't expect to see it anytime soon, especially cuz like you have to imagine that they probably are going to have some kind of like, I would thoughtful rollout for like when these things come out so that they're not competing for oxygen and we know that the first big games as a service multiplayer project from PlayStation is going to be Last of Us Factions, right?
I don't know that we do know that because they said something about it being they had like 7 service games, if I remember correctly.
Mhm.
That they had 7 service games coming up, or no, sorry, 10 live service games coming up. But we don't know what they are at the moment.
But that's what I mean. Like
We only
coming up,
know
I
about
would think
The
means
Last of Us.
they're in development, right?
Yeah, but it was in. I'm sure it was the investor relations deck, and it said they were coming out within the next financial year.
10 service games?
Yeah, it was like a crazy number. Let me
Yeah.
find out while you carry on with
Pontificate.
the Horizon stuff.
Yeah, I mean we know that they have, what is it, Striking Distance, I think is the name of the company that they partnered with, which is like the ex Call of Duty guys, and like they're working on a game. We know Last of Us Factions is in development. We know this is in development. But Last of Us Factions has been in development for like several years, and like they talked about it at, what was it, Summer Games Fest, where they said that
Yeah.
they had plans to talk more about it this year. So I have a feeling that game is going to come out or alongside ish the Netflix or the HBO series. Like they'll want to
It looked
capitalize on
like
that
it was
moment.
still in the concept art stage when they were talking about it, so
You think?
I don't know about that.
I don't know. I mean,
Yeah.
they had a whole. I don't know. I don't know. We know they've been working on it since the end of Last of Us 2, right? They put it on hold to finish Last of Us Part 2. So theoretically, they've been working
Yeah.
on it since 2019. I don't know.
Yeah, and then they worked on The Last of Us Part 1, and they took that project over, so who knows
That
what
was
resources
a
that took,
separate
right?
team though, wasn't it? Like,
Yes, it was, but I
yeah.
would imagine that to get that across the line, they have to pour people and just be like, "Right, it's all hands on deck, let's get this done and polished up so we can go gold, and then we can all kind of go back to factions or whatever
I
it's
don't
gonna
know.
be called."
I feel like they have a
Um,
different team that's working on Factions though at this point, because it's like there's a different lead on it. Like I'm sure that there's resources being shared across those teams, but my understanding was that I could be wrong, of course, right? Grain of salt. But my understanding was that The Last of Us Part 1, right, was mostly just being worked on by like the team that coded and worked on Last of Us Part 2, right? Just like took that over and we're doing that, and you have a whole other team that exists to flesh out Factions. um so I don't know. I mean, maybe you're right, maybe it's further away than I think, but I get the impression that it's more imminent than this, right, which is a game that seems to be in its utter infancy. They're still trying to decide like what the style is and everything, and
yeah.
figure out like quest structure and all that stuff, whereas like we have a clear idea of what Factions is supposed to be, at least.
So I don't know what the games are gonna be. So I found the story. They had 2 more games coming this financial year, and I don't think we've seen them yet. The
When was this
one
report?
game that May 2022. One game that they consider a live service game that they released was MLB The Show,
Okay.
and that's their one live service game that they've released. Jim Ryan said he considers live service games with no ending. And they are going to be 12 live service games launched by 2025, and that does not include Bungie's output. He was specifically asked about that, and they are not including that within the Sony family because it's a separate entity and being run as a separate entity.
That's interesting. I wonder what that
So
means.
we've still potentially got 2 more on the way. Maybe you could then be right about The Last of Us Part 2 because for their financial year ends in March 2023. So,
That could be the one. Yeah.
so by fiscal year March 2023, we'll have apparently 6 live service games released. And then by 2024, it'll be 10. And then by 2025, it'll be 12. So between 2023 and 2024, which will be next year, they plan on launching another 6 games, right? Based on what they're saying.
Yeah,
Another
and I mean
6
some
live
of
service
those,
games.
some like one of those is probably like another MLB The Show, right? Like it's probably the next one.
Yes.
Um, Maybe there's some more, games of that ilk, right? That are like open-ended games that are not necessarily like online multiplayer experiences per se, right? Because like We also know that like
Yeah, because
they have
I've
plans to
spoken
release
about that
mobile
before.
games, right? Like they could put out like a card game or something like that, and like that would be a live service game.
Yeah, you're right. And yeah, it is live service games released on PS5 is what they're talking
Oh,
about.
okay. Okay.
But
Hmm.
one like I agree with you though. A lot of people when they think live service game think online multiplayer. I actually think one of the best live service games is Hitman. And doesn't really have a multiplayer aspect at the moment. I know Hitman Freelancer's coming, and that will add some of that to it. But I really think they could do live service without it needing to be a multiplayer experience, and I'd really like to see that. I feel like Horizon could be ripe for that. You just keep adding missions, you keep adding new monsters, you keep adding stuff to do, right? That's the kind of thing that they could have done with that. Spider-Man could also have like a live service element where there's always constantly new stuff being added. They could go down that route, but I guess we'll find out what their strategy is going to be. It seems like you're probably right. The Last of Us is probably going to be the first one that we see, and this could have been announced and revealed. And Jim said this during the investor relations thing in May, prior to them needing to delay The Last of Us. We don't know. A lot of things could have happened with all of these games.
Yeah, absolutely. And we know that a lot of this is like newer territory for them, so I also wouldn't be surprised if some of these are things that they said in an investor call and then they slip, or they end up having challenges that they didn't anticipate because it's just really not their area of expertise. Their efforts with live service games have mostly been failed experiments, unfortunately. They had that whole period where they were like incubating indie studios at Sony Santa Monica, and they developed a couple like online live service multiplayer type games, and none of them ever really like drawn to death, stuff like that. They never really seemed to connect with a significant audience. And I think a couple of those games don't even exist anymore. So, you know, um, I wouldn't be surprised if some of these things take longer than they thought, and they're just, they're being bullish in an investor call because that's what you do, right? You're like, hey, we're killing it, right? We're doing great right now. The console's healthy. We have all these great games in development. We have all these plans for building our revenue stream and diversifying the kind of games that we put out. And I believe that those plans are in effect and that they'll come to fruition and that a lot of these games will probably be good. They've got the talent for it, right? I think it's just a matter of like, you know, game development being what it is in general, let alone in a post-COVID world where stuff slips all the time because shit goes wrong. That's why we have we had like 30 bangers come out in like 2 months this year, and like the first half of next year is like there's like 50 insanely high-profile games that are like lined up for the next 8 months, right? So the idea that they might not hit every single one of those deadlines. They'll still probably get several of these games across the finish line. It's going to be interesting to see. It's going to be interesting to see how much this actually comes to fruition and how much PlayStation is, trying to make themselves a destination for, platforms for games that just keep going. So I guess we'll see.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, gang. Thank you guys for joining us here on another episode of the FlipScreen Games podcast. Remember, next week is our last episode of the year. We are going to be doing the end of our predictions. We're going to be announcing our winner, who will be getting a trophy that I can see right here to my side.
That's me. I'm getting that right.
Steve.
We'll find out next week.
A man can dream, right? Yeah, we'll find out next week. You'll have to tune in next week to find out. But yeah, we're going to be talking all about that. We'll be talking a little bit about our hopes and dreams for 2023. And then, of course, when we come back in January, our first episode of the year, it will be Game of the Year. Drum roll, please, Steve. No, go like, brrr, they can't hear you.
I'll do ASMR.
Game of the Year! Let's go! Woo! It's going to be exciting. We're going to have a good time talking about Game of the Year. And then, of course, it'll be time to lay down our next round of predictions. So our next couple shows are going to be very, very exciting ones. I hope that you guys are just as excited as we are. Make sure you write in. I want to hear from you guys. What was your Game of the Year? What were your favorite gaming moments in 2022? What are the things you're most looking forward to in 2023? Make sure you write in for next week's show. And let us know what you're thinking. Because I feel like, as much as it was slow at times, not a bad year. Not a great year for games, but not a bad year. Pretty damn good one, in fact. And I think 2023 is shaping up to be one of the all-time great years in gaming.
Yes,
So,
I would agree with that, yeah.
We're going to have to talk about all that next week, so make sure you keep it tuned. And then remember, if you want to support us, if you want to become a Patreon producer, if you want to write into the show next week, if you want to just keep the conversation rolling with us when the show's over, make sure you head over to flipscreen.games. That's our website where you will find links to our Discord, our email address, just a dozen ways that you can get involved and check out all the cool stuff that we're doing. And I don't believe I got the chance to say this on last week's show. Thank you guys for 1,000 subs. I'm over on YouTube. Huge achievement for us. Was our wildest stream when we started the channel a year ago that we would hit that at the end of our first proper year. So we are incredibly stoked about that, and we have a lot of plans for how we're going to make things bigger and better next year. So thank you guys for your support and for tuning in. If you've been here since the beginning, if this is your first episode, either way, we thank you so much for tuning in and spending your time with us. There's a lot of ways you could do it. So thanks for being a member of the community. So with that, I've been Pete. He's been Steve. We've been the FlipScreen Games Podcast. And we'll see you next week, babies. Stay safe, stay sane. Have a good holiday. We love you.